Hey guys, what's going on? You with Bo, and in today's video we are going to check out Ethereum. We're going to look at exactly what Ethereum is, who is behind it, what is its purpose, what is it used for, and then we're going to check out Ethereum's historical investment performance. So stick around and let's get into it. So first up guys, what is Ethereum? Well, Ethereum is a decentralized application platform that allows other companies or other users to build decentralized applications on the Ethereum blockchain. So think of it as something similar to say iOS or a Windows-based programming platform. This allows companies to build decentralized applications on the Ethereum platform. Now, Ethereum has its own programming language called Solidity. Now, Solidity has been purpose designed for these decentralized applications to optimize what is able to be built on the Ethereum platform. Now, Ethereum also has something called smart contracts, which is basically a programmed contract that is set to execute when certain conditions of that contract are met. Now, because these contracts are built on a blockchain, which is decentralized in nature, it is immutable, which means that once that contract is set, it cannot be edited and it cannot be modified by any person, making it tamper-proof. Now, one of the amazing things about Ethereum's smart contract system is it allows new companies to use that smart contract system as a method of crowdfunding. So an example Ethereum gives here is you can create a contract that will hold a contributor's money until any given date or goal is reached. Depending on the outcome, the funds will either be released to the project owners or safely returned back to the contributors. An example might be an ICO has a certain goal that they want to reach in terms of funding. If that goal is not reached, then the smart contract will automatically send an investor's funds back to their wallet without having a human have to do that process manually. Now, Ethereum also allows something called a DAO, or a Democratic Autonomous Organization. Using the smart contract system, voting systems can be set up within a company. So rather than have a centralized executive committee making decisions, a company can set up smart contracts where after a set amount of votes or a set amount of another condition is achieved, then a certain decision would be made on the progression or the development of a certain decision that they were after. So the DAOs allow a distributed, decentralized system of governance around certain decisions within particular companies. As Ethereum put it themselves here, it's like having a robot run your organization that is immune to any outside influence, as it's guaranteed to execute only what it was programmed to do. Now, as we discussed earlier, companies can use the Ethereum blockchain to not only build a blockchain decentralized type of idea, but they can actually use this as a crowdfunding mechanism as well. So we can actually go and have a look at all the different projects that have currently been built on the Ethereum blockchain. So every single one of these blocks here represents a company with a team behind it and an idea. So a bit about the background of Ethereum. So Ethereum was actually founded by a man by the name of Vitalik Buterin. Now, Vitalik is actually a Russian Canadian, so he was actually born in Russia, and that is his actual citizenship. Now, he moved to Canada when he was young, and his father was actually a computer scientist, and his mother was a business analyst. Now, Vitalik was actually awarded something called the Teal Fellowship, which is basically a fellowship award or a scholarship worth $100,000, and is actually an incentive for people in college or university to leave and pursue startup or new business ventures. Now, the Teal Fellowship is actually founded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is very big in the entrepreneur and technology world. It's very, very difficult to get this fellowship. In fact, it has a selection rate of below 1%. Now, Ethereum also has something called the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which contains a ton of companies where their primary goal is to develop different applications and the ecosystem around Ethereum. Now, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance contains some heavy hitters in the global industry space. We've got British Petroleum, BP, we've got Cisco, Intel, JP Morgan, MasterCard, Microsoft, the National Bank of Canada, the list goes on and on. So this alliance is huge and just goes to show you the scope of Ethereum, how big it's actually gotten and where it's going to go in the future. Now, Ethereum also has its own development conference. They're up to their third conference, which kicks off very, very shortly. This conference is called the DevCon 3. It is happening from the 1st to the 4th of November in Cancun, Mexico. Now, just some of the sponsors of this conference. We have Microsoft, Omisa Go, Shapeshift, Zcash. The list goes on and on. It's a very big conference. I have been saying for a while, I do expect there to be quite some hype around this conference because you just don't know what is going to be presented or what developments are going to be presented based on Ethereum. So one to keep your eye out on for sure. Okay, so with the background of Ethereum out of the way, let's go and check out its historical investment performance. Now, just before we get started, it's important to note and have a good idea about what the Ethereum token is actually used for. So it is not a currency like a lot of people think it is, although it can be used as a currency, like many cryptocurrencies out there. So Ethereum, as we discussed about before, is a smart contract platform or a developer tool. So the way to think about holding Ethereum is more like a share or a smart share. So when we think of Ethereum like a share, that means that as Ethereum becomes more adopted, as the ecosystem grows, as the enterprise Ethereum Alliance increases in numbers and Ethereum is just used more out there on a global scale, the value will tend to increase as more people want to hold that share. Okay, so here we have the Ethereum RFG/ROI, which is return from growth and return on investment price analysis spreadsheet. So just before we get into the calculations, I just want to show you guys how I've come up with these figures. Now, what I've done is I've taken a data dump straight off coinmarketcap.com, which has the historical highs and lows that Ethereum has been traded for since its inception onto the market in 2015. Now, because Ethereum has only been on the market for a couple of years, unlike Bitcoin, which has been on the market for over 8 years, what I've done is I've broken it down into quarters. Now, essentially what I've done is I've calculated the price variance from the end of the quarter based on the start of the quarter from every single quarter it's been on the market up until today. So as you can see here, the RFG in dollars is the difference in the price from the end of the quarter back to the start of the quarter. And then the RFG in percentage is just a percentage representation of that variance. As we can see here, over here, we have an average increase per quarter, which basically takes the average of the percentage increase both up and down all along those quarters, and a dollar figure as well. Now, as you guys know, I like to be conservative and use the median, which the median cuts out those really high peaks and those really low lows to try and give a more accurate representation of the growth. Now, breaking this down into a per month figure, we have a $1.35 per month figure, or 7.23% growth of Ethereum since it's been on the market. Now, coming back to the Ethereum calculator, you'll see up here I have Ethereum in US, euros, Australian dollars and pounds. Now, this is live, which means that every minute these figures will update based on the global average prices. So onto the actual calculations themselves. Now, I've done this in Aussie dollars, US dollars, euros and pounds, so anyone from those countries can use this depending on your fiat currency. So let's run through an example and see how it works. So here on the Australian dollars, let's start off. Now, step one, you just enter the Ethereum that you want to buy. So let's just say for this example, we want to buy 3 Ethereum. So based on the current price, that would cost us 1,158 Australian dollars. So the next step is just to input the number of years you wish to hold Ethereum for. So for this example, let's just put in 3 years. So the sheet will then take that median monthly return from growth, which is 7.23%, and it will calculate that growth based on that figure for the number of years you put that in for. So step 3 will then give you your return, your initial investment plus what the growth in dollar value would be on top of your investment. So for this example, our investment would now be worth $4,173. So step 4 then gives you the difference. So it basically gives you just a profit figure without your initial investment. So that would be your return from investment. So that's it, guys. As I said, I've done this in US dollars and euros and British pounds as well. It's completely free. There's a link in the description, and there is also a link to the similar sheet I've done for Litecoin and Bitcoin as well, with both have live global prices. Just remember, because this is a Google Drive sheet, you will have to download a local copy to your own Google Drive to modify it. Now guys, it goes without saying, please use this responsibly. It's purely just an educational tool, and it's also just one method to look at potential investments. Now there's obviously market news, there's developments, there's partnerships, there's many things to look at potential investments for. This is just one way to analyze how a particular cryptocurrency has performed up until this time. So as always guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving me a like. If you haven't subscribed, then please do so. If you would like to see more of these type of analysis types of videos, and you would like to get access to more of these sheets, then come follow me on Twitter, because I regularly conduct polls where my followers get to vote and decide on what I cover next. If you want to follow me on Twitter, there's a link in the description. So thanks again from me for watching guys. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.